global corona death toll touching 30,000, infections over 6 Lake China readies stimulus, resumes production. Others follow news special as China's authorities plan stronger steps to revive an economy hit by coronavirus outbreak. As the nation Saturday reported no new locally transmitted infections, other countries are following suit. It indicates a silhouette of hope for heading off a feared recurrence of the Great Depression while mankind goes on fighting a grim battle against the pandemic that has taken a toll of around 28,000 dead and 6 lakh people infected globally. The ruling Communist Party's Politburo said on Friday it would step up macroeconomic policy adjustments and pursue more proactive fiscal policy, state media reported. With the world's second biggest economy expected to shrink for the first time in 4 decades this quarter, China is set to unleash hundreds of billions of dollars in stimulus. The Politburo called for expanding the budget deficit, issuing more local and national bonds, getting interest rates lower, delaying loan repayments, reducing supply chain bottlenecks and boosting consumption. We expect government ministries to roll out more tangible measures in the coming weeks as this Politburo meeting gave them no choice but to do more, Goldman Sachs analysts said in a note. The Politburo did not elaborate on plans for the central government to issue special treasury bonds, which would be the first such issuance since 2007. Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina also declared a stimulus package of TK 5,000 crore for the export-oriented industries to fight the impact of coronavirus on the country's economy. Sheikh Hasina in a nationwide address Wednesday announced the TK 5,000 crore stimulus package. I'm declaring a stimulus package of TK 5,000 crore for export-oriented industries which could only be used for paying salaries and allowances of their workers and employees, she said in her address on the eve of the Independence and National Day 2020 on Wednesday evening. Immediately after the Premier's announcement, PMIA President Dr. Rabana Haq in a video message expressed her heartfelt gratitude to the Prime Minister for declaring the stimulus package. In the message, Dr. Rabana said the ready-made garment (RMG) industries are going through a critical time, and lakhs of their workers are facing risk of losing job due to the outbreak of novel coronavirus across the globe, including Bangladesh. But Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's timely announcement of TK 5,000 crore package for paying salaries and allowances of the workers and employees of the industries will save their lives, she said. For this, our entire industrial sector, including export-oriented industries, express heartfelt gratitude to the Prime Minister, the PMIA President added. In her address, the Premier also declared a number of measures of her government to combat the impact of novel coronavirus, or COVID-19, on the country's economy. She said the Bangladesh Bank has already taken some business-friendly initiatives. The central bank has announced not to declare any client loan defaulter till June this year, the Premier said. Sheikh Hasina said the deadline for collecting income from export has been extended to 6 months from 2 months. Similarly, time frame of meeting up import expenditure has also been extended to 6 months from 4 months, she said. The limit of monetary transaction through mobile banking has also been increased. In China, restrictions on foreigners entering the country went into effect on Saturday, as the country reported no new locally transmitted infections and a small drop in so-called imported cases. Airlines have been ordered to sharply cut international flights from Sunday. Beijing has in recent days emphasized the risk posed by imported virus cases after widespread lockdowns within China helped to sharply reduce domestic transmissions. The Politburo said it would shift its focus to presenting more imported cases and a rebound in locally transmitted infections. We must be extremely vigilant and cautious, and we must prevent the post-epidemic relaxation from coming too soon, leading to the loss of all our achievements, the Communist Party's official People's Daily newspaper said in a front-page editorial. The authorities also reversed planned reopening of movie theaters, the state-owned China Securities Journal reported, citing sources. China's National Health Commission said on Saturday that 54 new coronavirus cases were reported on the mainland on Friday, all imported cases. There were 55 new cases a day earlier, one of which was transmitted locally. The number of infections for mainland China stands at 81,394, with the death toll rising by 3 to 3,295, the commission said. Hubei province reported no new cases, and 3 new deaths. The province of 60 million, where the virus was first detected, has recorded 67,801 coronavirus cases and 3,177 deaths. Shanghai reported the highest number of new cases, with 17. An additional 11 cases were reported in Guangdong, 6 in Fujian, 5 in Tianjin, 4 in Zhejiang, 3 each in Beijing and Liaoning, 2 each in Inner Mongolia and Jilin, and 1 in Shandong. Chinese President Xi Jinping told U.S. President Donald Trump on Friday that China would support U.S. efforts to fight the coronavirus. The number of confirmed cases of coronavirus in the United States rose by at least 16,000 on Friday to nearly 102,000, the most of any country. George Zhou, the Director General of the Chinese Center for Disease Control and Prevention, urged people to wear masks to control the virus's spread overseas. Zhou told the journal Science in an interview published late on Friday that the big mistake in the United States and Europe has been the failure to wear masks, which can prevent droplets that carry the virus from escaping and infecting others. Meanwhile, U.S. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin on Friday pledged to quickly send cash to Americans as part of their massive $2.2 trillion relief package aimed at rescuing the coronavirus-battered economy. President Donald Trump signed the measure later Friday, after it was rapidly approved by the House of Representatives, which provides for payments of $1,200 for Americans making less than $75,000, and $500 for each child, to help support households as the economy faces crushing unemployment and a recession. Americans need that money now. They can't wait for government to take 3 or 4 or 6 months like we normally do, Mnuchin said on Fox Business Network, adding he expected direct deposits of the cash to arrive in 3 weeks. Mnuchin also tried to clarify statements he made Thursday when he seemed to downplay as not relevant government data showing a staggering 3.3 million workers filed for unemployment benefits last week, by far the highest ever recorded. We're in an unprecedented situation where the government shut down major parts of the economy, he said in the interview Friday. So whether it's unemployment claims or other numbers, this doesn't reflect the normal economy. The COVID-19 outbreak in the U.S. has grown into the world's largest, and is accelerating, pushing cities nationwide to shut down businesses and employers to lay off workers as people stay indoors. Economists are projecting a severe U.S. recession, with a double-digit contraction and double-digit unemployment as soon as April, far surpassing the worst of the global financial crisis in 2008. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on Friday announced a series of measures to boost the economy, almost doubling the amount of the aid pledged just 2 days ago to more than $200 billion. The measures include a 75% wage subsidy for small and medium business employees affected by the coronavirus crisis, and a series of grants, tax deferrals, lines of credit and low-interest loans to Canadian businesses. They followed an announcement that the Bank of Canada is lowering a key interest rate to 0.25% as part of a drive to cushion the impact of the coronavirus pandemic. The aid package was announced as a parliamentary report out Friday forecast a 5.1% contraction of Canada's economy in 2020, the worst since 1962, with a whopping 25% second-quarter contraction. At present, the economic and fiscal outlook is extremely uncertain, read a summary of the parliamentary report. The scenario under consideration is but one of many possible outcomes. The report assumes that the current COVID-19 social distancing and self-isolation measures will remain in place through August, lasting roughly 6 months in total. It also assumes that oil prices will remain at the current low levels. Meanwhile, different forums of nations like SAARC and G20 bloc of developed countries held virtual summits chalking out anti-corona action plans and funds. On last Friday, China, for the first time since the outbreak emerged, recorded 0 domestic infections, marking a major milestone in its battle against the coronavirus pandemic as deaths soared again in Europe. Spain's death toll jumped by almost a third overnight, while Italy and France were set to extend the lockdowns that are keeping tens of millions of people trapped in their homes. Countries around the globe have tightened border controls and unleashed nearly $1 trillion to prop up the teetering world economy, only to see the once-in-a-century pandemic seemingly spiral further out of control. There were no new cases in Wuhan, the central Chinese city where the virus first emerged in December, for the first time since authorities started publishing figures in January, according to the National Health Commission. Wuhan and its 11 million people were placed under strict quarantine on January 23rd. With more than 40 million other people in the rest of Hubei province entering lockdown in the following days. The rest of China also enacted tough measures to limit public gatherings. There were 8 more deaths in China, all in Hubei, raising the nationwide total to 3,245, according to the commission. There have been nearly 81,000 infections in China, but only 7,263 people remain sick with the COVID-19 disease. But there were fears that Asia faces a second wave of cases imported from abroad, with 34 new cases reported in China yesterday, the highest figure for 2 weeks.